A grieving father and his family travel to a small town called Asteroid City so his son can participate in a junior stargazing event. Sound cool? Well, this is a Wes Anderson film, so believe me, it is. And I'm here to talk about Asteroid City from 2023. So, this is the most recent film from everyone's favorite indie director, Wes Anderson. I think I've said that before, but I stand by it. I've been a pretty big fan of his for over 20 years now, but recently I've actually become a much bigger fan. I'm not sure why I only just got around to watching this, but I have watched it twice in less than a week's time. Now, when this came out, I mostly heard things like this is Wes Anderson on autopilot and, stuff like that. So, I'm embarrassed to say, but that's kind of what I expected. In fact, I completely expected to feel that way for some goddamn reason. But after even just the first screening, I really don't feel that way at all. I like this movie a lot. Maybe it's not quite as good as the Grand Budapest Hotel, but it's damn good. As for the cast here, obviously it's going to be a vast assortment of people. We've got some Wes Anderson regulars like Jason Schwartzman, Jason Schwartzman, and Edward Norton. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I missed the last few Wes Anderson films. But I feel like he made an effort to bring in some new people this time around. I was going to say Scarlett Johansson, but she has appeared before. I think was it Isle of Dogs? I don't know. He's worked with her before, but I'd say new faces that I recognize would be like Jeffrey Wright, Tom Hanks, Liev Schreiber. And now that I say that, I think Liev Schreiber did a voice in Isle of Dogs as well. But anyways, you get my point. Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright. I don't know if he's worked with those guys before. I don't think so. And of course, there's many more, as per usual. At first, I kind of missed the presence of like Owen Wilson and Bill Murray. But Wes is just so damn good at making every one of his films feel exactly like a Wes Anderson film. And he knows how to get his actors to deliver exactly what he needs, regardless of who they are. In my opinion, Asteroid City can slide right in next to like the Darjeeling Limited, Royal Tenenbaums, and the aforementioned Grand Budapest Hotel. It has the same magic where I just get taken away to that world for a few hours. It's a sad world, where bad things happen to good people, where life is hard and you watch the universe through a vague lens of depression, but things eventually turn out okay. The plot here is a bit unique, and it took me a bit to get used to. I'm not sure on the first watch I fully comprehended it. And it is basically us, the audience, watching a documentary about a stage play, which seemed very unique to me again. And of course, it is quite stylized with, the movie being in color and the real life, stuff shot in black and white. Since this is set in the 1950s, which I forgot to mention. Yikes. The film kind of centers around Augie, played by Jason Schwartzman. And if anyone should be the main character here, it should definitely be him. The two have frequently, the two, being Schwartzman and Wes Anderson, have frequently collaborated since Wes's second film, his breakout film, Rushmore, back in 1998. He slides right into the lead role here, and it's just perfect. And Augie has traveled to a little place called Asteroid City, with his three daughters who are adorable and pretend to be a coven of witches, and his son Woodrow, played by the very talented Jake Ryan. This is Jake's third time working with Wes, and I think we will definitely see it again. His performance here really reminds me of Tony Revolori's character from the Grand Budapest Hotel. And Tony actually has a small part in Asteroid City, and I was really happy to see him. So, the Steenbeck family are in Asteroid City so that Woodrow can compete in the junior stargazing event. Augie is heartbroken, having recently lost his wife, and he's doing his best, to be strong for his kids. He works as a war photographer, so he constantly wears a military uniform, and he never goes anywhere without his camera. He's constantly taking pictures of things. It's pretty cool. While they are in town, something happens, and the entire town is temporarily under a military lockdown. Edward Norton plays Conrad Earp, the playwright who wrote this story, and Bryan Cranston plays the host of the documentary. Like all Wes Anderson films, the plot is pretty simple, almost like a Seinfeld episode. But what fills out the runtime is all the side stories and dialogue between the many characters, which on paper should be a chaotic mess, but never is. and is always like otherworldly, almost fantasy movie like magical. And that is really the way I would describe most Wes Anderson films. They are magical to me, and I love them. So even though the plot is, about a fictional stage play, the underlying theme here is basically life is hard. It's always going to be hard, but it's also going to be good. And even when things are hard, we focus on the good things that we have. We will make it, or, we'll at least try as hard as we can. Augie's story arc with the kids and the loss of his wife do remind me of Ben Stiller's character from the Royal Tenenbaums. But despite that, as I said earlier, I just didn't feel any sort of a rehash or anything here. It 100% felt like a Wes Anderson film down to every last detail. Every line of dialogue, every well-written character, just everything. For me, at least. I'm giving Asteroid City an 8 out of 10. To me, every Wes Anderson film is like a symphony, where there's a million things all going on at the same time, and would only take a minor misstep for everything to just fall into chaos. But it never does happen. Cheers, guys.